The Sessions is one of those films where I probably never would have watched it if I didn't have a specific reason to. And I'm really glad that I did. I watched it because Rhea Perlman's in it, very, very briefly. I liked her in it, but thankfully, even though she's in it only slightly, the film was really interesting. This was released in 2012. It's written and directed by Ben Lewin. And it's based on an article from 1990 by Mark O'Brien, and it tells Mark O'Brien's story. I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate or if it's loosely based, but according to Wikipedia, he did in real life and in the film have polio and then was ultimately paralyzed and had an iron lung. And in the film, he has never had a sexual experience, and this is something that he really wants. So he employs the services of a sex surrogate, which I had never heard of. It seems like a really fascinating concept. Basically, the sex surrogate works with a therapist, and they're basically there to introduce the individual, in this case Mark, to sex and to explore his own sexual wants and needs. And obviously, because he's never had a sexual encounter, he doesn't necessarily know what he finds particularly sensual, what's a turn on for him, and it's all about exploring that. And on paper, that doesn't sound like a narrative I'm interested in, but it was really interesting, and I think that there are two reasons why it works for me. One, the narrative is just different to anything I've seen before, and I think it was very well done, based on no experience with this kind of narrative. And two, the performances were really great. We have John Hawkes as Mark, and we have Helen Hunt as Cheryl, the sex surrogate. And we also have William H. Macy as Father Brendan. I really liked his character as well. And the performances were just really fantastic and really compelling. So even though there were maybe times when the narrative wasn't completely as interesting as other scenes, generally I found it fascinating. But like most films, there were times when it maybe wasn't holding my interest as much as it was in other moments. Their performances were still absolutely fantastic. There are times when it gets a little emotional. I wouldn't say it's a particularly depressing film, but there are certainly moments where it's particularly moving and very well done. And IMDb lists this as, well, a biography, a drama, a romance, and a comedy. The comedy aspect isn't there for me personally. I didn't really find any of it funny. I'd love to know if anybody else did. Obviously, comedy is very personal, but for me, I wouldn't have ever listed this as a comedy. But it's certainly an interesting story, and the fact that it's based on truth makes it all the more fascinating. Do I recommend it? I do. If you're a Rhea Perlman fan, obviously check it out for the brief moment that she's in it, but the story itself, even if it doesn't sound like it appeals to you, it absolutely didn't to me. I think you'll really enjoy how well written the narrative is and how engaging it is for most of the film, and the performances are just absolutely brilliant. So absolutely no complaints. It's not a film I'd ever watch again, at least I don't think I would, but it completely exceeded all of my expectations in terms of my personal interests. I wasn't expecting to really care for it that much, and I found that I was drawn in emotionally quite quickly and emotionally connected with the characters in no time at all, which was pretty brilliant. I didn't know what to expect from the sessions, but I can definitely say that I really enjoyed it. And if it sounds like it would appeal to you, absolutely check it out. If you're on the fence, I'd say give it a go. It's definitely, for me, something a little bit different, and I'm pleased to say that actually I really enjoyed it.